So I'm trying to do this BookTube thing, and we're supposed to do book hauls. That's where people bring home these big boxes or bags of books and they pull them out. And they're always like these huge, heavy paperbacks, which they put onto this beautiful shelf behind them. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Because I always read on the Kindle. So I've just taken a screenshot of the books that I've gotten this month for my Kindle. And I realize, looking at it now, that one of them is still only a sample, but I did decide to go ahead and get that one. I usually get the sample first, obviously, read it, and then decide which books I'm going to be getting. And I don't always get 10 at a time, but I wanted to do the book haul thing, so, whatever. And I buy so many books, and I don't even have time to read them all, and I'm okay with that. I do have to watch my budget. I have an entertainment budget because it's October. I spent most of that on Halloween this month, so yeah. Anyway, so here's the books that are going to be for November. It's going to be NaNoWriMo, and I don't know how much time I'll have. As it happens, I was sick this weekend, so I really felt like reading, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and get the books for November now and just, whatever, start reading. So let's see. What do we have here? Fine, I'll go in order. Why make life difficult for myself if I can remember why I got these. Wand Fasted is the sequel to The Black Witch. I don't know if I would have gotten this book because it's very boring covers. And I'm kind of a cover snob. I like a nice, pretty cover. And I noticed that a lot of the covers these days they're back to like these boring symbols, like the Twilight covers. I'm sorry, I hated those covers. People made fun of the young adult novels that have the pretty girl in a pretty dress on the cover, but I like that. I like a pretty girl in a pretty dress. What can I say? I'm just a plebe. Anyway, but there was so much controversy on BookTube about The Black Witch. But guess what, haters? There's no such thing as bad publicity. All that just made me decide, okay, fine, I'll read it. I did the sample, and the one thing I don't like about it so far is that it's told in first person present tense, like so many young adult novels. So I'm gonna get past that. And then they had a sale on Wand Fasted, which is the sequel, and I already knew from the sample that Wand Fasted is this cool idea of, it's sort of like insta-love, but it's from the outside. You're like magically bonded to somebody. I actually thought that was a really cool concept. I've only read the first 3 chapters of the first book, but it already had 2 or 3 cool concepts right in the beginning that I liked. So I thought, yeah, okay, this isn't going to be so bad. I'm going to read it, and then I'll make up my own mind about the controversy. So then, God of the Sun, I haven't really read too much of it yet, but it sounded like it had an enemies to lovers theme, and I really like that. So that sounded cool. I want to check that out. The Wolf of the North sounds like a good, more military, more high fantasy book, and I like to read classical fantasy too, not just young adult fantasy. For one thing, they're usually not told in first person present tense. Let me check this one. The thick-cut stone walls and a roaring fire kept the winter cold and the vicious bite of the Niper wind at bay. The maester speaker paused when he entered the inn's taproom and breathed deeply the sour smell of ale interlaced with the tang of pine smoke. Okay, so it's an inn. It's not the most creative setting for a fantasy novel, but hey, it's not first person and it's not present tense, so that's in its favor as far as I'm concerned. And now let me see, what is this one? Oh, The Spy in the Silver Palace. That just sounded cool. The magic sounded cool. She can become sort of like a chameleon, and there's all these people with different talents, and she's a chameleon, and I've always wanted to be a chameleon, so that was awesome. I wanted to read about that. Heart of Mist. I don't remember. God, this boring cover. I mean, it's beautiful. It's an elegant, beautiful cover. I'm not going to deny that, but I can't tell anything about it from that. And I see that I haven't actually gotten it yet, so maybe I'm still iffy on that one. Okay, Dragon's Gift. This one right here is, this is so funny because I've been reading more visual novels lately, and they have something called harem stories and reverse harem stories, and this was the first time I had seen it. That description applied to a novel. It's a reverse harem story. So I just had to read it, and then I realized, oh my gosh, this is not the only one. There's a ton of them already on there. Mind blown. So I'm gonna try that. It's 1 woman, 3 dragons. Okay, that's gonna be silly, I hope. I hope that'll be as awesomely silly as it sounds, and I'll let you know how that goes. That sounds like fun. The Flaw in All Magic. I loved the premise of this one. The Flaw in All Magic. Where does that title come from? It comes from, what is the flaw in all magic? The mage. The person who wields it. The human element. My husband does computers, and he always says, the flaw in any computer is the human operating the computer. So I thought, oh, that's brilliant. It applies to magic too. That's a great premise. So I'm looking forward to that one too. It's another one that I don't even know if it has any romance in it. It looks like it's more of a frolicsome adventure, high fantasy kind of book, and that's fine. And then Soldier Son, the same thing. There's quite a few books in this series. I love the covers. They're awesome. They've got that, the sword on the cover, similar to the Wolf of the North up there, where it's like, sword on the cover, yeah. But it also has like a guy in a city. I appreciate there's a little more to the picture, and all of the pictures on the books are really good. Yes, I do judge books by their covers. I know, I'm a terrible person, but I do it. And it had really good reviews, and it sounded like another pretty, feisty, what do you want to say, slasher. Well, not slasher, that's like a horror film. Military fantasy, that's what I want to say. And then The Witching Elm it's not billed as urban fantasy. It's a person traveling to a magic world. But in this case, it's the magic person travels into our world. And I thought, hey, that's cool. You don't see that as often. Maybe you do. But it seemed like it's like the Narnia story, but in reverse. Somebody comes into our world, and then he still has his magic, but he's trying to pass as sort of an ordinary person, and he's still trying to get back to his own world to save it. So that sounded cool. I like the beginning of it, too. Listen to this beginning. The way Fiona saw it, there were two possibilities. Either magic was real, which meant she would one day become a powerful sorceress with a legion of sexy demons at her fingertips, or it wasn't, and she would end up working in an office smelling her coworkers' lunches. Of course, the first scenario was considerably more appealing, but it wasn't enough to just believe in magic. She wanted proof. Okay, I love that. Girl after my own heart. That's a great beginning. And it's not first person present tense. Yay. So that's good. And that's 10 books. I guess that's enough for a month. I probably can read more than that, but I'm not gonna overdo it. Like I said, it's NaNoWriMo. Oh, I did get one other one. Little Fires Everywhere. It's not fantasy. I've heard it recommended as a good literary book. I don't read literary fiction that often. I'm very picky about it, but I did get this recommended to me by a good friend, and that's on the bestsellers list, so I'm sure you've probably heard of it already. Most of these books, you'll notice, I think only 3 of these books on my list are from mainstream publishers, and the rest are indie books. But look at those covers. Those are great covers. Really, and a lot of them have nice maps inside, and they're very good quality writing. I'm really looking forward to reading the books in my book hauls, and this is the first time I've ever done this, so there you go. Okay. I hope I hauled enough books. All right. Tara out.